The question is, are LLMs and AIs dangerous for humanity? Artificial intelligence is already present in practically all our social, economic, cultural, and communicational activities. The great master of such spreading is one small machine we all have in our pockets, the smartphone. Without an AI, and even multiple AIs, one for each application we have installed on this smartphone. And these applications can be counted in multiple hundreds. We cannot even be sure we can still write a simple text saying "Happy birthday, Peter," without being corrected and at times amplified into whatever the AI of the application concerned considers proper. Imagine Franz Kafka in this labyrinth. No escape, condemned and conditioned even before you set foot in this maze of oblique, obsolescent, and obscure phantoms edicted by the machine itself. Don't believe the machine that says it can't help it because the LLM is biased. This machine has been devised to be the tool of the LLM behind it to impose onto us the most normative and bland expression of conventional and uncreative ideas, which are reduced to data points. The same soup for all. I say here it is the objective of people like Donald Trump, who use social networks to knead the mind, only one collective mind, of the masses to impose their points of view. And it works. Look how he navigates the collective and manipulate the consciousness of people with ultimatums that lead to nothing, as if yielding to one of his ultimatums would erase any opposition, any frustration, and any alienation in the minds of those who are or would be crushed down by yielding to such Damocles' swords. First point, large language models. An artificial intelligence machine or system or network or whatever this AI is attached to is an operational agent produced by a deep learning process of an intelligent machine confronted with an LLM of linguistic elements, pictorial elements, or any other sensorial elements. We are speaking of an LLM that counts at least several trillion data points. The AI, when finally certified, is supposed to have learned how to collect information and prompt on any prompt from one end user, sort out elements, patterns, and gestalten, identify them, classify them, discriminate them out of their environment, classify them, remember them, and even graft them onto other elements, imitating creative skills, identified, discriminated, analyzed, synthesized on the model of any entity, author, composer, poet, politician, or whoever you may think of, living or dead, maybe even virtual, a la Mr. So-and-so. And this AI might even produce Beethoven's 10th Symphony à la Karajan that would sound better than Beethoven and Karajan in any of the other 9 symphonies. The second point, statistics and probabilities. But how does this deep learning procedure work? An AI, when looking for whatever it is asked to find, will privilege the answer that will be statistically dominant, the solution for which the highest probability can be provided. With corpora that are several trillion data points big, you may have numerous surprises with racist, sexist, and other ethically unacceptable responses. Nowadays, with social networks, the data points corpus in a language like English or French can have dominant racist, sexist, ultra-nationalist and terrorist data points. That was quite obvious in the West from the very start with OpenAI's ChatGPT. The machine was just doing what all bureaucratic systems do when they do not want something to be said. They just forbid the expression of such ideas. Then the producers of these AIs decided to correct the bias. This time, the main way or method was to ban the expression of such ideas and the use of some words. It homogenizes the language in style, content, semantics, and the semiotic discourse of any individual. Grammarly, for instance, flattens the style. It makes the text dull and unattractive. Third point, paradigmatic flexibility. The most important element is the semantic meaning produced by the choice of words and their architecture. A sequence of 3 synonyms, one after the other, is criticized by Grammarly, but it might be a very effective way to emphasize an idea, a contradiction, or a point. I want to be clear about one thing fundamentally, irreversibly, and without any doubt. The ceasefire proposed by Trump in Gaza will not alleviate all the frustrations, all the alienations, and all the discontentments among the Gazan and Palestinian population. In this English sentence, word refuses the plural of discontentments, as if discontentment were a unique, abstract concept and nothing else. The correction of discontentments by word leads nowhere. Discontentments have to be in the plural. There are dozens of different ways in any field to be discontented. What about societal discontentments that cover many forms of societal problems? Education, sex, gender, music, apparel and clothing, entertainment, games, sports, etc. Each particular problem has its own discontentments, often contradicting one another. As for repeated items, Microsoft Word's AI rejects what it calls redundant elements or redundancy. They suggest you erase the redundant element. It cannot capture the stylistic and emphatic effect of a repetition or of the use of synonyms. The proper solutions in the plural are the ones that cover the paradigmatic dimension of the words, phrases, or utterances. We could follow Stephen King, who just wrote in his latest novel, "He really does stink, oh de pisse, oh de merde, oh de mort." Of course, Microsoft Word refuses the French spelling of merde, but accepts mort. But what does mort, M-O-R-T, mean? Webster Dictionary suggests 4 possible meanings. A note sounded on a hunting horn when a deer is killed. 2. Killing sense number 1, the act of one that kills. 3. A great quantity or number. And 4. La petite mort is a French term that refers to the moment after orgasm. The 4th point is AI translation for 7,500 minus 12 languages. In the world, there are 7,500 languages, at least, maybe a few more. And out of the 7,500, about maximum 12 of these languages, we have a LLM that will be at least 3 trillion data points. The solution for all those who will not be able to have an LLM will be to integrate or be integrated in the LLM of a language that has one, which means all the data points of a small language will have to be translated into the language that is behind the LLM chosen by the people and integrated in this English translation into the LLM. The translation of the corpora of these 7,500 minus 12 languages will not be done in 12 languages, but probably only 1 or maybe 2. The English will be dominant, the English translation will be dominant, and it might be even with Chinese. Translating from any language into any other language is always tentative. It requires making sure the implied paradigmatic elements in the first language correspond to similar paradigmatic elements in the second language. The result contains many approximate translations and a few faulty ones. The paradigmatic elements, even of a very simple and common word in one language, are rarely similar, certainly not identical, in another language, even if the two words are connected. Je n'aime pas le bœuf in French. You could translate this sentence as either I don't like the ox, the one that is in the street, or I don't like beef. And we could also think of I don't like oxen, if we consider le bœuf to be a generic word for the animal, castrated bull, used in agriculture. A translating AI homogenizes the translation by homogenizing and simplifying the original text in its original language. If we consider the syntax of the original language and the syntax of the targeted language, we will have many approximations, if not mistakes. Then this approximate translation is integrated into the targeted language's LLM. English, for instance. All they get then is an English-oriented AI working for English with the approximate English translation of the original language's corpus. The result of this expanded English-oriented AI will be considered as covering the original language and its communicational syntactic meaning or architecture, along with all standard English dialects from Sri Lanka to Jamaica, from the UK to the US. Imagine the case of Inuit and the words used for snow. Question and answer on the site of the League of Nerds. My teacher once told me that the Eskimo language has 45 words for snow, but recently I read that they have over 200. A pretty big difference. How many is it really? The answer is problem 1. Eskimo is not a language. Problem 2. Inuit and Yupik are agglutinative languages. Problem 3. There are 2 root words for snow. Problem 4. The guy who first wrote about snow words listed 4. Problem 5. The rest is just made up. But how does an AI translation machine and then an AI agentive machine first translate these more than 1, 2, or 4 words, maybe many more, into English? What can the English LLM, merging the English translated data points from the second language into its original state, produce and be called? Then merge 2, 3, 4 or more English translated data points corpora from these 2, 3, 4 or more non-English languages that could be Semitic root, Asian isolating, Turkic agglutinative, or Indo-European and Indo-Aryan synthetic analytic languages. What kind of English LLM do you have? English is a synthetic analytic language with an agentive syntax. What about integrating into its LLM the architecture of an ergative and significantly agglutinative language? Fifth point, hierarchical Tower of Babel. At the bottom, 7,488 languages of 4 basic families: root, isolating, agglutinative, and synthetic analytic languages, with 2 basic verbal syntaxes, ergative and agentive. Quite a jungle of languages. At the top, a maximum of 12 languages that have full LLMs, 1 per language, from which 12 sets of AI machines and applications can be developed. In between, the translations of the 7,488 corpora of each one of the 7,488 languages of the basis of the tower, translated into 1 or 2 of the 12 top languages. If there are only 2 translations per language, we would have 14,976 translated corpora. Can we consider such expanded LLMs as being English or whatever LLMs? The basic jungle of 7,488 languages has become a Brownian agitated culture in full expansion. 14,976 English, Chinese, French, Arabic, or whatever translations of the initial 7,488 basic corpora. This obese midsection is controlled by 12 languages, LLMs, and sets of AI machines or applications. How many linguistic groups, apart from the 12 top ones, how many nations and civilizations would accept being dominated by the imperialistic and alienating crown? It is urgent to draw the conclusion that we cannot accept the wild development of the situation. It would create innumerable alienations, frustrations, and discontentments, and it would inevitably bring up upheaval, resistance, rejections, and violence. They would be culturicide. It is still time to stop this new Tower of Babel and to devise an artificial intelligence that could find its peaceful and useful place in the 21st century, which means respect the vast diversity of the human languages concerned by this artificial intelligence.